And we also increased science and math hours by 50%. Well, you wouldn't be able to notice that because when I talk about 50%, I mean from 10 years ago when you were still very young. So you're having much more English training now. You're having much more science training now. You're having much more math training now than about 10 years ago because we want to make sure that you will be more competitive and you will have a better job when you get out of school. I was talking about what we spend on public schools, but we also spend a lot on private schools. You know, because we have had an increase in teacher salaries in public high schools. We've had spending classrooms in public high schools. In my father's time, when he was still very young, he had to go to San Fernando, Pampanga to go to high school because there was no high school in Lubao, our hometown. Now there is a high school in every barangay in Lubao. One of the problems here is that private education has started to suffer because you have to pay your way through private high school, but your public high school is free. But we don't want the private schools to die, especially schools that give a good Catholic education, like the College of Holy Spirit. And the way we've done this to help out is to increase the scholarship funds of GATSPE and education vouchers for private education. In fact, in private high schools, I don't know if the ratio is that way here, in Holy Spirit, almost half of all private high school students are government scholars. And I asked Sister if the College of Holy Spirit participates in that. You do participate, isn't it, Sister? You do participate in the scholarship programs. So many of you, your tuition is subsidized by the government. That is our way of helping the private high schools because we want you to continue and we want you to flourish and we want to keep up your good standard of education. This scholarship is also provided for college and postgraduate education. As I said earlier, almost half of high school private students have scholarships. In college and postgraduate, it's over 600,000 scholars. In technical education and skills training, we have invested 3 times that of 3 previous administrations combined. As a result of our investments in education, the National Achievement Test scores have improved a lot from our administration. 44% to 65% in elementary schools, 36% to 47% in high schools. Much better than before, but I think still needing a lot of improvement. And so to further improve our educational system, we have a presidential task force on education headed by a private educator, Jesuit educator, Father Bienvenido Nebres of Ateneo. And this task force has come up with a proposal, a master plan of a main education highway towards a knowledge-based economy, which envisions seamless education from basic education, meaning preschool or daycare, all the way up to vocational school or college, and even beyond. Because, as I said, school is important for a successful life. But on top of making your lives have a better chance to be successful, I also want our educational system to instill in our youth a pride in our nation and a desire to get involved in the civic life of our country. There is a need for you, the students, to get involved in a positive way in the civic life of the nation. And that is why I have decided to visit you today. Because I want to give you the message that the Philippines has come a long way since you were little children in January 2001. I'm sure you remember very little of that time because you were little children. But time itself has gratefully erased many memories of that tumultuous time less than 10 years ago when the nation teetered on political chaos and financial bankruptcy. The economy was jammed in reverse. Few investments were being made. Few jobs were being created. Our public sector debt was even bigger than our GDP. Because our GDP was 3.3 trillion, our public debt was 3.8 trillion. Imagine a public debt bigger than the whole production of the country. And so, understandably, foreign reserves were razor thin. It was a time of lower salaries, a time of high inflation. Very few taxes were coming in. That's why insufficient investments were being made to expand healthcare, improve education, or even provide clean water and electricity to remote barangays. Those things were very difficult to do. So into this dismal picture, we stepped in. Today, I was hearing Mass where some of the Holy Spirit sisters often come and join me for Mass. I was in my daily Mass, and the priest said, because the sermon was about asking things from God and praying, and he said, reflect on the gifts that God has given you. How much of them were given to you because you prayed and asked for them? How much of them were given to you even if you did not ask for them? And I started to reflect, and really it's very hard to tell, to be able to make that comparison. But one thing I can say, in 2001, I did not seek the office of the president. It was thrust upon me. But rather than shirk from the onerous task, I rolled up my sleeves and I was determined to turn the Philippines around. I focused myself like a laser beam on delivering real results to better the lives of ordinary Filipinos. As an economist, I knew, however, that to reverse years of economic decline, I had to instill fiscal discipline. I had to grow the economy. I had to invest in human and physical infrastructure. And these things that we did would form the building blocks of a turnaround that would eventually, 9 years later, deliver 35 quarters of uninterrupted growth which other administrations have not experienced for the longest time since 1966. The creation of 9 million new jobs, again with other administrations, did not create 1 million jobs a year. The addition of 53 million to health care, health insurance, from 29 million before I came in to 82 million today. And still on top of all that, a stable fiscal situation. And so that people and goods can be delivered faster, cheaper, and safer from one end of the nation to the other, we built Roro ports, airports, and more roads and bridges than in the past 3 administrations. And you from the province, I hope you can see, no, you will not see because that was 10 years ago and now, but travel is much better now. But this is very relevant to you. From scratch, we created what is today a global powerhouse, the Philippine Business Process Outsourcing Industry. We were able to do this with vision, determination, and smart government policies. First of all, we promoted strategic investments in telecommunications connectivity. And so billions of dollars came into the country in investments, creating 500,000 new jobs in call centers and BPO alone, and counting. In fact, I'm sure many of you, when you get out of school, you would like to be working in one of those very nice call centers and BPOs. And we have 500,000 jobs today, and more jobs are available. How did we do all of this? How were we able to afford all of this? We have never shied away from taking on tough issues.